Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And wow, we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. We got a guy, a friend of mine I ain't seen in a while. He's been doing some great things. Love his music, love him and his beautiful wife, Kathy. And I tell you, just chatting with him today and the things that we're going to learn. He just got back from Africa. Actually, I think he went over there and bought him some land and a house and et cetera, and said he's loving it. So we're gonna find out, the true African treasure. So and I'm excited to have this guest. So I'm not gonna steal the thunder of Michelle because if I do, she's gonna beat me up. You know how that is. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing good, James. Yes, it's been a while since we had this guest on our show. I mean, he is a artist. And I know he's been busy doing a lot of things and traveling and just enjoying the experience which he will talk to us about today. So we're really excited to have him on the show. Back on the show.
Back on the show. I'm excited to have him back on. And I'm talking about all the great things he's doing. And I tell you, and he's also a retired military colonel.
Oh,
And so I'm gonna salute him already. So hey, regardless of where you're watching this at, whether you're watching it on uh, E360 television, transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, LinkedIn, or over 55 live streaming platforms. Welcome to the show. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching some, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. Michelle, can you please introduce the title of the show, purpose of the show, and this absolutely wonderful guest?
Oh, most definitely. So, the title of today's show is Finding True African Treasure. And we're having a sit down discussion with award winning, internationally acclaimed jazz vocalist and recording artist, Sweet Lu Olutosin. He's going to talk about why Africa, the types of treasures found, and why bother searching for treasure. So, again, he's an award winning, international acclaimed jazz vocalist. Sweet Lu Olutosin's music has seen many bright moments, including reaching #1 on the Billboard Traditional Jazz Album charts. Although Olutosin's music consistently displays a unique and energetic creativity, it is his live performances that is a crown jewel of excitement and engaging modern jazz. As a youngster, his goal was to be an uninhibited singer, using a mix of jazz, blues, and gospel to create music with the message of soulful spiritual healing. His goal remains as Lu channels everything from Al Jarreau, Joe Williams, Lou Rawls, Eddie Jefferson, Johnny Lee Hooker, and many, many more. Indeed, his trek detoured with a 36-year stint in the U.S. Armed Forces. His years in the military taught him the very important lesson of discipline, order, method, and ultimately belief in himself. He retired from the Army with the rank of full colonel, allowing his full immersion into the music that has been the backing track of his existence since childhood. We're welcoming back to the show, Sweet Lu Olutosin.
Sweet Lu,
Hey,
how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. It's great to be back, and thanks for having me.
Man, it's always a pleasure having you on, man. And I tell you, you inspire me, and you inspire many, many others, and all the things that you're doing. And I'm certainly inspired about your recent purchase over in Africa, and you spending time over there. Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm excited about all of those things, man. And I want to say I miss you, bro.
It's been a long time. It's been a long
It's,
time. When you coming back down?
you know what? I got to come down in May.
Okay.
May, I am supposed to be there for graduations. So it's toward that. But I'll let you know, man.
Okay.
I'll
Absolutely. We'll
let
get together.
you. Yeah. So, Sweet Lou,
Yes, sir.
you've been doing so many things, especially concerts and playing and traveling. Can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about you, what you've been doing, what inspires you, and why you're so passionate about all the things that you do?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here and address your audience for the invitation. Um, I'm a regular guy, like most others, grew up in a household that both had male and female leadership from my mom and my dad. And that was really a good grounding experience. I actually came to be musically inclined as a result of where I came from. My mother, my father, both were singers, so that I kind of got that naturally. But after I started looking at it a little bit further, there was even more connections to music and artistry from my great grandmother, who was actually a singer, a painter, a piano player, and as the census records tell it, she was an exhibitor. And there's a long story that goes with that, and I'll maybe get to some of that a little bit more. But she was an artist all of her life. So therefore, it came more natural to me. And once I realized what she had done, I just embraced it that much more. And it's just been a wonderful experience. And what I love most about what I do is being able to actually reach people at their emotional core. And music has that effect of doing that. It can reach you when nothing else can sometimes. And it's just a wonderful experience to know that you are helping someone overcome something that is so vital to them that, and you don't even know this person. It's just a matter of you presenting in a spiritual way and in a clear way what the universe has already provided, which is peace for everyone.
Wow. So you know what is the best adjective that describes your approach to creating music?
Wow, that's a good question. I think above all else, I'm looking for inspiration from the creator. And as long as I have that inspiration, I'm not worried everything is going to come out just the way it's supposed to be. Maybe not the way I thought it should have been, but the way it's supposed to be. And I think as long as I keep that connection and don't get caught up in trying to follow fads or allow ego to drive what I'm doing, I think everything will be just fine. So I have to periodically check myself and make sure that ego's not part of this thing that I'm going to present it, because that's always a bad combination.
Well, you know what? The title of today's show is Finding True African Treasure. Why, before we get into it, why did you want to discuss this topic on today's show?
Well, I think it's really important. And if you look at the situation here we have in our country, the United States, politically, economically, and every other way that you could look at it, and realize the history of the country and the world, you have to pay respect to the origin story of all of it. And the origin story of all of us is Africa. If that's where civilization and life began, then we should be compelled to at least look at the story that we are a part of from the very beginning to have a full understanding of what it is that we are here to do and what we're supposed to be doing. So starting in Africa is the reason starting in Africa is the place to start because it is the beginning.
Did you always want to go to Africa to kind of connect and just, find or just experience your story and your forefathers' story? Or was it something, later in life that, I need to go there?
From my earliest remembrances, I've always wanted to be connected to Africa. It's from the time that I could get the understanding that we were African Americans and not Americans. I needed to know what that really meant, because being African American in America or anywhere else, there are certain things that come with that based on the white supremacy that our country has not only co-signed, but was on the ground floor of building. So when you look at the white supremacy aspect of this nation and look at African Americans should all want to connect with Africa. That's where our power is.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we have to look at everything associated with Africa, and we're considered African Americans, but you know, our descendants are from Africa.
Yes.
Everything that we know of as Black people uh, comes from Africa, and a lot of times, Sweet Lou, many of us forget about those origins. We
Yes.
start thinking that since we're in the United States, I mean, and we can call it home,
Yes,
but
we can.
not knowing where you're from and not caring about trying to figure out where you came from and your family traditions. I'm talking about generations and
Hmm.
generations and
Hmm.
generations before.
Hmm.
That kind of bothers me a little bit because I need to know where I came from.
You're right. Well,
So
I think it should bother you, James. I think it should bother all of us. Now, let me just kind of spread the web a little bit wider. Civilization itself begins in Africa. So that means that if Africans were the first civilized people, then everyone else came after that. So if we look at the history of the world, and you can, archaeologists have found things that say it's 300,000 years, millions of years old. And our civilizations are the ones that started the civilization that we have today, if you just follow the path. I think it's important for us to be very energetic about reconnecting with our past, because our past is the past of the world. And if we stop looking at sound bites of time and look at time, the chronology of humanity, we get a very different picture of who we are and who we are to the world. And that is very, very important. Malcolm X had a saying, and I like it because it made so much sense. He said, if your cat goes up into your oven and has her kittens, do you call the kittens biscuits because they're coming out of the oven? Or do you call them kittens because that's what they are? They're kittens that were born in the oven. So if you want to call them oven kittens, so be it. But you don't call them biscuits. You call them kittens. That's what they are.
Hold on to that though. We're gonna take a station break. But Sweet Lou, also, if you can shoot me MP4 videos, I would be able to use some MP3. I won't be able to load that up.
Okay.
But MP4 short ones, and if you shoot that to Michelle, I should be able to, especially if it's from YouTube, I
Okay.
should be able to get it
Let me try
loaded up.
YouTube.
I tell you, we already started the first segment, getting the opportunity to know Sweet Lou. We're gonna dive deeper into this, and we're gonna dive deeper into the topic of today. And also, we're gonna have another special guest that's gonna be joining us in a few. He's a jazz artist as well, and it's gonna be absolutely fantastic. So if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave, high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
I've seen a smile convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are. The one that keeps us close when we're apart. Walking from the darkness of all that we've been through. It seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live again life of need.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, my great friend here, Sweet Lu Olutosin. I tell you, love this man, love his music. I hope that we can get some of his music because you guys gonna love his music as well. And but right now we're talking about finding treasure, finding true treasures are African, and a lot of things that we talk about is getting an opportunity to know where you come from and know that Africa is the beginning of civilization. At least everything that was taught to me, everything comes from the continent of Africa. And I have always been a believer that I got to get over there real soon and spend some time and get a chance to understand this great country, where we all came from. And Sweet Lu just I think you spent about 4 or 8 months there last year, Sweet Lu.
Yeah,
Oh,
all
yeah.
considered, all together. It wasn't all at one time. I had several trips.
Oh, yeah. And we got a friend of yours that came over to visit you there last year. And I just want to bring him on for a second.
Okay, absolutely. George V. Johnson.
Peace.
Good to see you, man.
Hey, man, it's good to see everybody. Good to be on the show. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, man. And I love both you guys, man. And all the things that you're doing. And George, you and I talk quite a bit. And the things that you're doing, up in New York, New Jersey, getting things situated. And he was the one, Sweet Lu said, hey, man, Lu got a treasure. He got a treasure over in the motherland. And he said, JC, you got to go over there and check it out.
Yeah, you do have to come.
So, hey, Sweet Lu,
Yes, sir.
I want you to just tell us about what prompted you to go over in Africa, buy land, and once go over there, look at it, and say, hey, this is where I need to be, and to do what you did up to this point.
Yeah. Well, I made my first trip to the continent in 2018. I was actually going to make a trip in 2019 and got an opportunity early. So I took the opportunity. I went to Ghana and found that everything was just, from the time you get on the ground, the vibrations themselves are totally different from what you feel anywhere else. And I've, 36 years in the military, I've traveled quite a bit. I don't even know how many countries I've been to, but the vibration itself, the energy of the place is completely different than any place else. And it drew me in. I came back in 2020 to actually find some place that I would purchase and build. And in the process of looking for land to build on, I also looked at some pre-existing structures. And one of those happened to be just what I was looking for, a place right in Accra, right on the water. As a matter of fact, my backyard like backs up to the Gulf of Guinea. I tell people it's gorgeous, man. It's beautiful. And the people are just so welcoming for one thing, but they are still practicing all of the ritualistic things that tradition tells them they should be practicing. It really kind of blew me away to know that even though they practice Christianity and Islam and the major religion, or the today's major religions, they still continue to practice the traditional African spirituality practices that go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and it never went away. Because they were subjugated by the colonizers, they weren't able to really practice it in the open, so they just took it underground and continued to practice it while accepting Christianity and all the other religions that were being jammed down their throats. So I thought that was really ingenious. Instead of them running you away from what is yours, it just made them take it underground and continue to practice it. So that was a beautiful thing. And it also opened the door for me. I realized then these are the same practices that our forefathers developed thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, before there were ever any other people that didn't have melanin that existed. Then that is probably where we need to be looking to for our salvation. Going back to the beginning, looking at the whole picture, not just snapshots in time of when you weren't on the winning end of the game. You know, I think you have to look at the whole picture, because context, context, is probably one of the most important words in the English language. But when you apply it correctly, you get a completely different picture of whatever it is that is being put in front of you, just by backing up and looking at the chronology and the context of the whole picture, not just one slight sliver of time. So that's what drew me into saying, yeah, this is where I need to be. I've been. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lou. Go ahead. Well, I wanted to know, George, when Lou told you and shared his experience with you, did you have any preconceived notions about Africa before you got there? And when you were exposed and also Lou showed you around, what happened to you?
Well, I was, thank you, Dr. Michelle Cooley, for having me on the show, you and James, and thank you, Sweet Lou, for inviting me to Africa. Now, repeat that question again.
Okay. So before you went to Africa, I don't know if you've been to Africa before you went there. So let's say when Lou told you all about what he was experiencing, being in the motherland, did you have any preconceived notions about Africa as a whole, besides what you see on TV, reading the history books? But once you got there and you were exposed to a lot of things and Lou showed you around and, just your conversations and your friendship, how did you really, how did your mindset change by really experiencing the whole thing?
Well, it took a while for me to adjust.
Okay.
Because of being in the West, you're used to things, having things right then, right there, everything right at your feet. But there, everything, they call it Ghana time. So it was like a blessing, and it blew my mind going there, just seeing the people and seeing the palm trees, the coconut trees, and seeing the people every day. it just pulled me in, and this is where I was supposed to be all this time. And I think Lou probably, he knows me, he knows my music and my lyrics real well. I guess he looked at it and said, I think the music he has like Mother Africa and things like that. He called me, he said, George, you need to come to Africa. And I started researching a little bit more. And when I came, it completely blew my mind. I just saved my money up and got my ticket, got my visa. And when I got there, it opened me up to a whole new world. A whole new world. Yeah.
Wow. So Lou, in your experience, you finding the true treasure, did you discover things about yourself being there that you didn't realize before? I mean, you're going back, seeing the area where we actually come from, our forefathers. Like, how did it change you as a person? And did it put everything into perspective, the things that, let's say, anything that you were going through or were confused about, basically in life in general? How did being there put everything into perspective? And I think you're on mute right now.
Yes, great question. And I think I have to answer it by saying, we only know our American selves as African Americans. Mm-hmm. So we say we're African American, African being first, but in truth, we're Americans that haven't learned what it means to be African, because that's a whole different thing. And it was such an enlightening fact for me. Just learning about how Africans work in society. Everyone knows that our African Americans struggle when it comes to family and keeping family together. And we know the history of that goes back to slavery and the many years afterwards that and just working under white supremacy. What you find there is there's nothing more important than family. Family is the reason for being, the reason for continuing. So everything you're doing is not for your individual self, but for the self as a part of the family. And that is so, let me give you an example. When the land is big as a commodity there. So let's say a family owns land and there's somebody who's in charge of the land and wants to sell it. In order to sell that land, they have to find the person who they call the Abusia Mensa, which is a title in the family structure that basically says, this is the oldest living member of our clan. And he or she has to be a part of this transaction. So they will bring this person now into this sale. And the first thing the Abusia Mensa wants to know is how the proceeds from the sale are going to benefit the rest of the family. Totally different from any kind of transaction that would happen in the West, because in the West, the transaction is about the individual, not about the family. So a very, very big difference. When decisions are made, they involve the family. Now, most of us kind of have a nuclear family, the family under our roof, but I'm talking about the family extended, the clan. Everyone who's a part of the Johnsons or the Coolies or whatever has to be included in major decisions that affect the family. You're never going to find that here in the United States, not in an African-American family, and probably not in most other families as well, unless they brought it from wherever their family came from. Now, in our case, what we brought, or what our ancestors brought when they came over 400 years ago, was beaten and was discouraged. Let me say that. It was discouraged. They didn't want family structure because that doesn't support slavery. So our family structure was decimated, but the term Sankofa says you can go back and fetch it. We can't fetch it from here, from the United States, because it's never been here. But we go back to Africa, we can reconnect with all the principles that make Africans African. Not that it's easy, because we have so much American just laid on top of us, since this is the only lifestyle we know. But it can be done. And by spending time on the continent with the people, with the customs, with the procedures, you can change who you are. And you can actually become the African that you physically are, but emotionally and socially, you are not.
Wow. You know, that's deep, man.
The whole thing is deep.
Yeah, you know, because coming from the South, and I guess, you know, my grandmother, grandfather, all those, that used to be the structure until my, it's not that way now. But everything depended on the family. Now it's everything depending on the I, me, my. And the family is kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah.
So therefore, what you just said, I think is so important that we all get an opportunity to go back to the motherland. If you're African American, even if you're not, I mean, go.
Connection is still there for them too.
Yeah, and just see how it is. Understand that a lot of people are like, well, I'm never going back there because those people running around with bones in their nose and all that other type of stuff. What is wrong with you thinking that way? We are all people, regardless of whatever that might mean, our ancestors, what you see on TV, what's portrayed on television. So I'm excited about actually coming to visit you once you guys get settled over there. George and I, we talked about that. And I tell you what, we're going to take a station break, but I want to come back. I want to get both of you guys a part of the discussion again, because Lou, man, you just done, I tell you, you done sent me there, man. You got my mind open. You got my mind open. You know, so whichever platform you're watching this on, you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments. Any question that you might have, I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
What if that road that you're taking's a dead end? What if love leaves you all jaded and broken? What if that limb breaks you're climbing out on? Yeah, what if it all goes wrong? But what if it all goes right? What if it all works out? What if the stars line up and good luck rains down? What if you chase your dream and it changes your whole life? Yeah, what if it all goes right? What if that road is a beautiful soul drive? What if that love ends up lasting a lifetime? What if that limb holds you oak tree free, strong. What if this time nothing goes wrong? What if it all goes right? What if it all works?
Welcome back to James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, Sweet Lu is remarkable, and so is George. These two guys are incredible music making. And I got a surprise for them in a minute. They don't even know what that is yet. But Sweet Lu, I'm intrigued on the way that you put it about family, and that's still a custom and a tradition over in Africa. And that's something that we all need to come back to those type of traditions, because it is about family.
Yeah.
It's about future generations. It's about passing down things that have been sacred to us as a people, as a family, as Africans,
Yes.
if you will. You can't run away from your DNA.
Thank you.
Let me say that again.
Yeah.
You can't run away from your DNA. And in order for one to truly understand what their purpose is, you have to know where you come from.
Yeah.
You have to know where you come from.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to start out with George Johnson on this one. George, what are your thoughts on you can't run away from your DNA?
Wow. Well, a young man, a friend of mine explained something to me, I think is real important that you can't run away from. And I'm gonna give it to you. Like, I like the way Lou gave his example about Malcolm X and the biscuit. And so another friend said, where is it a lion from? It's from Africa. No matter where you take it, no where you breed it, no matter what zoo you put it in, it's still an African lion. Simple as that. African, point blank. It's just people just need to educate themselves, truly educate themselves, because we are African. Simple as that. That's what I learned.
Your thoughts on that, Sweet Lu?
I think he hit it on the head. And his last thing was we're all African. That's true for all of us. Caucasian people, Mexican people, Oriental people, everyone. Life itself starts there. So therefore, no matter where you go, you're not running away from the fact that life and civilization started there. And no matter what civilization you align yourself with, or what race you align yourself with, it all starts in one place and one place only. So even though your skin may be void of melanin, your DNA goes back to Africa too.
Wow. So Sweet Lu, after spending half of the year there, this last year in Georgia, you So there are rituals and there is sacred sites and ceremonies and all of these things that goes on all the time. Um, can you tell our viewers and our listeners why it's so important that the people from Africa make sure that these are passed down to generations and generations so that they would not forget where they came from and not forget that others need to know these lessons. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Is that for me or George?
You.
Okay. Yes, I can talk about that. And let me first say, we don't have to worry about Africans forgetting to pass down African traditions. They've done this for 1,000 years. They're going to do it as long as there are African people. Now, where we run into a problem is when you have Africans that are separated from those practices. Then you end up with people like us, African Americans, who, although we look like we're African and we say we're African, we never got a chance to learn what it meant to be an African because we've been separated from that by way of slavery. So what really needs to happen is, how do we now reconnect with what's been going on since the beginning of time and what's going to be going on to the end of time? The situation isn't that they stopped practicing it. No, they continue to practice it to this day. Every African will, I guarantee you, know what a family is. He will know what the structure is. He will know who the oldest member of his clan is. He will know everything that he needs to know. It's those who have been separated from the source that have to be. When I was in law enforcement, they used to have a term saying reblued. Every so often you have to get back in the day when we were carrying pistols and 38s and 357s, you have to get them reblued periodically. So now they come out brand new again. Africans outside of the diaspora need to be reblued. We need, maybe I say reblacked. we have to reconnect to the source power. And when you look at the fledgling things that we end up doing, and we're still able to create a level of success even within an oppressive environment. We're still, because that's who we are. But what if we could actually connect to the real source of power, which is Africa? The real source of power, not something that's been copied and diluted, and we still got some power so we can see it's there, but we're not connected to the direct current. We got some kind of alternating current going on.
Hey, George, I'm curious. We've got 2 minutes for the break. What are your thoughts on that, brother?
Well, I believe we must set an example. Now that we know what is going on over in Africa, now this is my plan. I'm going there to show through music and educate through music of what it's really like. Because, even when I tell people I'm going to Africa, what you going there for? What you going there for? Man, my music just connects so much with Africa, and I ended up teaching at a school with 120 kids, and I'm going back to 300 because my music connected, and I'm setting an example that you can do anything you want to do in Ghana. You really can. All you got to do is dream it and think it, and things I could never do here my whole life, I'm able to do the moment I step foot on the ground. So wow. I'm doing it by setting an example. And
both of you guys are so incredible. I tell you, when I tell you that I am going to come and join you guys over the first chance I get, I mean it. But we're going to take a station break. When we get back, what you guys don't know is these two guys are superb, world-class jazz artists. I'm talking about. You probably saying, well, we're just sitting back just talking about life over in Africa. It's more to these two guys than meet the eye. So stay tuned. When we get back, we're going to discover a little bit of what George is talking about and what Sweet Lu do their music. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just reach out to whichever platform that you're on. Go to the comments, ask any questions that you might have. I promise you we'll get your answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do. If you can see it here, you can do it. You might not be able to see it with the physical eyes, but if you can see it here, you can do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do it. You all are the future leaders of tomorrow. I am a leader. I am a senior. I will be one of the leaders of this world. So, if you know yourself, and if you love yourself, you got the confidence, you can share yourself, you can be who you are. It doesn't matter if you short, tall, fat, big, whatever, black, white, pink, gold, purple. It doesn't matter. You step up with confidence. You are a masterpiece. You are leaders.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And I tell you, I'm sitting here with two absolutely magnificent, brilliant men that's doing a whole lot of things. And I'm just enjoying this conversation because Sweet Lu has inspired me, and so has George, that you got to go and find out where you come from. You can't leave this earth without knowing. Well, you can. I mean, but we recommend that you get a little history, not by what people implant in our head. You got to go see it for yourself. Oh, yeah. You got to go see it for yourself. And just like my great friend George B. Johnson, I just said a few minutes ago, he went over there to visit Sweet Lu, and he started teaching classes through his music. As I told you, both of these guys are extraordinary artists. And I just want to give you guys a little quick introduction of both of them together. Here we go.
Every hour's on earth. Had me spending money I never had. You know how. Oh, yeah. I should have known right from the
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Yo,
I surprised you guys, didn't
I forgot about that, man.
You too.
Wow, that was going back.
You know, but what I'm trying to say is through things that we care about, the things that we're passionate about, and if we be about those things, like for you guys, music, and also helping others and educating others, and Sweet Lou, what you're saying today is, a lot of things that we as African Americans, we never had the experience because we won't allow ourselves to do that because we're like, hey, I don't live there. I'm over here. I ain't going back over there. Or I ain't never been there and I don't want to go. I think it's so important to get an understanding, just like what we've been talking about. And God had planted on my heart that I have to go there. I had to get an understanding. And so when you guys get back over there, get settled, I might come over for a week or so or something. And I might come over there with a checkbook. I might come over there with a checkbook.
You need more than a week, man. You need more than
You need at least 2 weeks. At least.
I might come over there with a checkbook and try to buy me something.
Come on. There's opportunity there. There's opportunity there that you're not going to find anywhere else. That much is for sure. For sure.
So Sweet, why don't we talk about some of those opportunities that others might not think of, talking about in the United States, and might not think it's worth going over there, and might not think, well, I'm not going to buy anything. But if you go over there and you find something, you love it, and you buy, you support, and just like you said, the family. So I think you're doing. We'll be doing a couple of things. First, getting an understanding of who we are.
Yeah.
Secondly, we would be off into supporting a lot of things that I think we should. Can you talk about that? We got about 3 minutes left in the show.
Yeah, I think you're right on point when you say we not only be learning who we are and what's important as such, but also helping out the community and the economy of the Ghanaian people or the West African people, wherever you are, which is really important. Again, back for African Americans, when you think of the fact that I'm in my mid-60s, but all of the money that I've made throughout my whole working life, which has been pretty extensive, has gone to benefit the U.S. economy, which is cool because I'm American. But by the same token, I'm African American. So when I look at all of the value that I've amassed and all of the taxes that I've put into the U.S. system and judge that against what have I done for the African anything, I find myself completely naked. Because how do I even consider myself African American when I'm 100% American in all of my efforts and my understandings? It's kind of a misnomer. We can't walk around lopsided like that with two identities, but only one of them that's been developed. And the one that hasn't been developed is the one that is much more significant.
Wow. I tell you, we got about a minute and a half left. Sweet Lou and George, 30 seconds or less. You first, George. What is some takeaways you want our viewers and our listeners to get from this great conversation that we have today?
I repeat the question again.
I said, what is one takeaway you want our viewers and our listeners to get from this great discussion that we're having today?
One takeaway is that is giving. Is giving. I'm going there volunteering as a artist in residence. I'm paying my own way, paying my own rent, and I'm giving. And I'm teaching as a volunteer these children because this is what I think my purpose is to go back to Africa and give. We have to give to receive.
And you, Sweet Lou?
I want to leave one thought. And you know, we look at Africa and what we see here is that starving, famine, you know, there's some poor and all that kind of stuff. And that's the only image of Africa we get. That's not correct. It's in fact, it's very false and misleading. But what I want to present is the woes of the continent Africa are not of their own making. There are outside entities that continue to meddle in the political and economic affairs of the continent, because as long as they can keep the continent providing raw resources and not allow them to refine those resources, they can turn around and continue to make money and keep the status quo as it is. That is, Africa being the footstool of the rest of the world. I'm gonna leave one term with you: EMH, economic hitman. Look it up, economic hitman. These are the agents that the Western governments use to destroy the economies of African societies and anyone else in the world, where they want to keep the cost of raw materials very low, because that's what allows the system that we're in to continue to operate and for us to have the lifestyles we have. It comes from a mentality that in order for me to be up, you must be down. So therefore, I'm going to try and put you down so I can be up. It's a wrong mentality to begin with.
Mindset. You know what? We out of time, but I want to thank both of you guys for taking time to come on the show today. You know what? I think we need to do this again. We need to have part 2.
Sure.
And next time we have part 2, we're going to showcase both of you guys' music a lot more.
Let's do it.
And we'll do this. You know, so I want to thank Sweet Lu, you for being our special guest today.
Thanks.
George, I want to thank you, man. You know, man, you special as well. Most importantly, I'd like to thank Michelle Cooley for putting together another great show.
Yes.
And I got to thank my viewers and our listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on over 55 live streaming platforms. Always, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your life.